Hey everybody, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and I've got a brand new comic book haul video for you again today. Now, today is Friday, October 28th. We're going to do the video today. We've got all kinds of new books I've been picking up from mostly some of my favorite WhatNot sellers. So I'm going to give those guys a shout out, each one of those. We'll go through the books kind of quick because there's a lot of them. From at least one dealer, I bought a lot of books. And these aren't all from one week's sale. These are from the last few weeks. They have scheduled shows on WhatNot. So I go back every week and I pick up a few books here and there. And I've been saving them up. And I've got a pretty good haul at this point. So I was like, let's go ahead and do the video and get it out. But what is today? This is October 28th. It is first day of Baltimore Comic Con. By the time this video comes out, and if you guys are watching it, you'll know that it's going to be a 10 o'clock show. You know I will be down in Baltimore in line. At that point, the doors should be opening. I think it opens at 10. I don't know. We'll find out. But I will already be in line. I'll be ready to go to hit the floor, go in there and try to get some of my favorite artists to sign some of my books. If you haven't watched my video from earlier in the week where I go over my preparation for the show, I go over some of the books I'm going to get signed and some of the artists I want to go see. So watch that video. You'll see who I've been looking for. Eventually, we'll do a show where I show you some of the stuff that I do get signed, but that will come after sometime next week, or maybe over the weekend. I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll see. I'll be doing filming all day. Hopefully, I'll be running into a bunch of people who watch me on the show and other people. I love to meet you guys. I want to see what you guys are looking for because I know what I'm looking for. I've got a short list of once for my PC, and then of course I always be looking out for good deals, books that I can clean and press and maybe get graded by CGC. I'm always on the hunt for good value books like that. They could be inexpensive, they could be expensive. We'll see. But we'll do that show later on. We'll get through the con. I'm so excited. As I said, by this point I'll already be on the floor hopefully and getting some things signed, or at least standing in line getting things signed. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the books here. This, as I said, these are books from some of my favorite WhatNot sellers. I'm giving each of those guys another shout out. I think that's all I do. I'm not even paid for this, but I'm definitely getting good books. And my recommendation is to use these guys because they bring good books. And it's not just that I don't buy every book from them because, oh, it's from these guys, I can buy anything. No, because they actually take the time and they show off the books. And if the book is really spectacular, you have to go off of their description of the book. They're showing you the book as best they can, but they're pointing out some of the flaws if the book does have any, or they're really saying, wow, this is a really good book. And you're kind of using their recommendations. And the books I'm getting, I'm always looking for the top grade at anything I can get, and if there's a tick on certain books that I want, I will pull off of that, and I'll give it to those guys. They start prices at good price points based on the value sometimes, especially the one seller, Key Collector 313. They start, if the book is a spectacular book, they do start that price a little bit higher, and that's okay with me because I know that book is kind of worth it at that point. So anyway, I'm rambling. Let's get into the books. I'm going to go through this kind of quick. And we'll just start from the beginning. I'm not going to go over prices because, to be quite honest, I don't think I've got prices on everything. And that's not the gist of this video. The gist is I'm getting good value and really spectacular books from these sellers. You can, from my part, you can trust these guys pretty much to give you pretty much good books all the time. You still will get some books that have some ticks that maybe they could have described it a little bit better. So it's nothing's ever perfect. But I encourage you guys to use these sellers on WhatNot. I should put it, there should be some disclaimer, right? That I'm not liable if you don't like the books or something, right? But I know that I do. I keep going back to them, so I'm not saying for you guys to go out there and buy it. This is just my feeling for these sellers. So there you go. All right, so this is from Searchlight Comics, and start with a banger here, Avengers 186 and 187 and 185. All three of these, I believe it was all in a package. It wasn't too expensive, but of course the one you really want out of here is 186. This is the origin of Wanda and Quicksilver 2. I want to say it's the first appearance of what's the demon? I can't remember the demon's name at this point, but definitely a first appearance. This is the expensive book out of 3. This is actually, for what I paid for this, I remember buying it as a package, and normally when you see them as a lot, they put the other 2 books in there to get the price of the whole thing up, because they know that 186 is not as good as it should be, or they can get as much for the 1 book, so they throw the other 2 in there. But this one's actually in pretty nice shape. It's actually really clean. That top left corner is a little soft up here. Be interesting to see what kind of grade you could get on that. Of course, a lot of grades on books like this have gone down. You see some of the scenes from the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness movie with Wanda, and after that movie, the value in these books have gone down a lot. So even a 9.6 isn't super valuable at this point. You still get a 9.8 on any of these to have any real value. But a 9.6 on this still does pretty good, but it's just not spectacular. All right. Okay, also from Searchlight, I picked up another copy of Marvel Age 41. This is the one that with Stan Lee on the front there, the photo cover. There's some pretty good value in this if you can get a 9.8 on this. I'm still struggling. I've gotten a 9.6 on one, and I've had a reject from a 9.8 pre-screen. So I keep picking these up when I find a good value on it. I've never owned this. First copy I've ever owned of Dark Hawk #1. Picked up a first edition of Gambit #1. Now this, I pulled out of my PC, did a little bit of pressing. It has a cardstock cover, and it was a really nice copy. It got a 9.8 on that. I ended up selling that. And here I go again, buying a book that I sold, and I'm replacing it with another raw. So who knows? I may clean and press this one too and get it out. And then I picked up a couple Fantastic Fours. This is 353. This is the first appearance of Mobius. Is it Mobius? Is that who was it? The Wilson what's the first name? It's one of the Wilson brothers, right? Owen Wilson, that portrayed him in the Loki miniseries, or TV series on Disney+. And you see him right down here in the indicia area, right there. And then this right here is just a spectacular copy. This is a copy of Fantastic Four 247. This is a book I've gotten 9.6s on. You got to get a 9.8 on this. Any of these Fantastic Fours, 246, 247, 248, part of these Doctor Doom storyline. You got to get the 9.8s on these to have the value. 9.6, it just falls off the cliff. If you get a 9.6 on this, that probably isn't even a $100 slab at that point. But this one looks really spectacular. I keep picking this book up. You don't have to pay a lot for this. I mean, this one I actually paid a little bit more for, because their description on Searchlight was this was a spectacular looking copy, and at this point it really looks really good. All right, guys, as I said, I'm going to try to do this a little quick because there's a lot of books to go through. That was from Searchlight. And then I picked another seller that I really like, but I didn't pick a lot up this particular night, was from Robot Monster Island. What a great name. And I picked up a copy of Wolverine #1. This is the 1998 Claremont and John Buscema series. This was described to be really, really good. And I want to say I paid about $86 for this. And yeah, this one I was probably not quite as happy with as I had liked. There is a pretty, I wouldn't say huge, but there is a color-breaking spine ticker battle right around this area that is really going to knock this down. It's going to press out really nice. The corners are really sharp, and maybe with a little bit of press that'll look a little bit better, but it's still there. I mean, there's no hope for a 9.8. Maybe there's still a hope for a 9.6. There's still some value in that. I don't have those prices in front of me, but that's one where, like, oh, I wish that had been just a little bit better described, because that's a lot of money to drop on that. So here's the case. I still like these guys, and I still go back there, but that was a book that could have been described maybe a little bit more. But I'll give another pass, because sometimes I'm watching these shows and I'm not paying 100% attention when they go over these things. So overall I've still been really happy with the Robot Monster Island show and the books I've been getting from it. I keep going back to them, so they're still a go-to on that. That book, as I said, could have been described maybe a little bit more, but then again, I could be paying better attention to. All right, here's one I hadn't been back to in a little bit, but I still have him bookmarked because there's still some good books in there. He ends up just doing a lot of sometimes newer books, and in a lot of those cases, there's newer books that he does that I don't have a lot of interest in, so I tend to be going to all these sellers for a little bit older books. And this one is C. Fuller 97, and he ended up, I think this was a lot. I didn't get a lot from him this time. I have bought much more from him in other auctions, but it was X-Men. This is 241. This is the first, I think, cover appearance of Madeline Pryor as the Goblin Queen, and then the 225, and I can't remember, I think there's a little bit of a key on this, and I can't remember exactly what. The key is more on this one right there. These are not super expensive books. I don't think I paid more than $5 to $10 for the lot. And again, these are books you've got to get 9/8 on if you clean and press and you want to resell them for anything. The 225 looks pretty good with a pretty good glance. I'm sitting there going, both of these actually look really good. And this is a book I've cleaned and pressed out on my own PC. It didn't come back. It got pre-screened at 9.8 and it didn't make it. So I still will be on the lookout for this book if I can find it for a few dollars. I don't want to overspend on a book like this, because even at a 9.8, it's not a super valuable book or anything. But it's just a minor key with a beautiful Madeline Pryor on there. All right. And then the last seller I've got, this is the one that I've spotlighted it in their own show on YouTube, and this is Key Collector 313. And they're I believe it's out of the Detroit area. But I've got a couple different sales from a couple of different weeks here, and we won't go into the books quite as much, but we will go over the books. Know that a lot of these are keys. I will point out, if it's just a book for the PC, I may just go over it. But yeah, let's just go over it. You guys can look these books up. There's semi-keys or bigger keys, and books that I see potential in. This is what books that I spec on. These are books I clean and press. Some of these may end up in the PC. A lot of them will end up for sale at some point. So we got Spider-Man Unlimited #1. We've got, this is real hot right now, Hulk 256. Of course, we've got how do you pronounce it? It's not Saber, it's Sabra? Is that her name? But we know that this character is coming soon in the MCU. Oh, I didn't even realize I picked up another copy of Fantastic Four 253. And these 4 books are from one sale. The rest of them are actually from another sale. But I never owned this. This is Marvel Tales 106. This is I believe it's the first reprinting of Spider-Man 129. You pretty much have the same cover. They changed the yellow to a red. And this is one that I paid a little bit more for. I don't have the price on me, but I paid a little bit more for it because their description was, yeah, it's a little rough, but in that bottom corner there is just a little too soft, probably. But this is a book that will benefit from a clean down the spine here. And you can see that it's wrapped around so you can see the back cover white there. That'll actually work in my advantage so you don't see any color-breaking spine ticks. But this is a book that, if you can get a pretty good 9.0 to a 9.8 grade on this, is actually a semi-valuable book right there. So this is one that I'm interested in really getting into the shop and working on. And then I'm going to set these to the side, and then I kind of get into a week prior to this, where I did one of their sales, and a lot of minor keys, smaller books here and everything, but we'll just go through it. This is one of the anniversary cover with G.I. Joe, with I believe it's a Mike Zeck cover still at this point, but you've got the anniversary wrap that was so popular and still is so popular. A lot of people collect all of these. Okay, so sorry about that for a moment. I had to go back and double check as I was looking at the books. I'm sitting there going, did I already film this? The books have been here for a couple weeks, so on the second batch, and I'm going, I thought I might have already filmed this. So if I did and I don't remember and I go through the books again, just give me a shout out and say, Russ, you're an idiot. You already did this. So let's go through the second batch of these books and we'll just go through it. As I said, we got some small keys in here and we've got some minor keys and we just have some filler. I got some books I probably shouldn't have been picking up, but sometimes I like some of the books that are in there, and sometimes I see good value, and I can't help myself. I'll end up buying them no matter what sometimes. But I ended up picking up pretty nice copies of X-Force number 1 and number 2. Again, books that you need to get 9/8 on. They were so overprinted. You got to get 9/8 on this to even get into that $100, $120 CGC value at that point. So again, just they were inexpensive. I picked them up. Picked up a copy of, I grew up on this book, had this when I was a kid, 145 of Fantastic Four. This is a book I should not have picked up. It was a lot rougher than I expected. This is one of those I don't know if I wasn't paying attention when they were going over it, but boy, this one's a pretty rough book. But this is one that will never get graded. This is me. I'll throw this into the PC for the time being. I may end up just passing it along when I eventually sell some more raw books. This is a really nice Scotty Young cover of Deadpool number 1. Again, just don't know if there's any spec on this, but sometimes when these auctions are going and they've got some of these books that are real cheap, they just start them at $3 or something. It's like, oh, okay, I'll just pick them up on some of these, because a lot of times you'll have a book like this. There's Scotty Young collectors out there all the time. This could be a key. I'd have to go check. I didn't really bother. For $3, it didn't bother me. Now, this is a really nice higher grade copy of Iron Man 109. I think it's a John Byrne cover, right? Yeah, John Byrne and Terry Alston cover right there. It's really nice. And I picked this one up because as an older Iron Man issue that is high grade like that, I saw some value potentially to getting this one cleaned and pressed and eventually graded. And even more so to this one right here. This is a really nice copy of Iron Man number 25. It's got a spectacular Submariner cover on there. And it's funny, the more I do this and some of the books I pick up, I realize this is a book I actually picked up at my grandmother's house. I found this book. This was probably one of the only 1 or 2 Iron Man books that I found in some of the books that were still in their attic that I found when I was visiting and kind of kept. I still have this in my original collection, but I remember having this book right here. I just love this cover right there. What a great cover. I picked up some Terminator books. This is the very first Terminator comic. This is number 1 from Now Comics. It's got some ticks over here. It's not perfect, but I knew that. They described this one pretty well. And I want to say I got that as part of a lot. With these other Terminator books, this is Terminator Secondary Objectives. You've got issues, let's see, issue 1, 2, and 3. This is, I don't have they didn't have issue 4 with that, but I picked up all 4 of those in a small lot. It wasn't too expensive. These 3 are all, I think it's Paul Galassi who did the artwork. He's famous for his Master of Kung Fu run back in the day. After Starlin, he came on that book and really changed and made Master Kung Fu really just very stylized. But I picked that up mostly to get a copy of this whoops. Where'd it go? Yeah, of this one. And don't know if it's definitely just one of those. I try to get some of these very first prints on some of these Alien or Predator, or in this case Terminator. You don't see that too much. So even with a couple ticks, I think that would actually end up being fairly valuable at a higher grade if I end up getting it graded. I picked up this. This was Walking Dead number 23. And I don't remember the significance of this, but inexpensive early issue of Walking Dead. Of course, the values of Walking Dead have all gone down since the show basically has been over. I guess it's still on, but I don't know who watches it anymore. So with them ending the series and ending pretty much, is it still going to be going on AMC? I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched it in the last year, but still an early issue at a good value. I picked up this right here. Again, books that I didn't have. This was issues 1 through 5 of Sleepwalker. And here, I'm just going to set them there. There's 5. There's 4. Spider-Man on there. 3. 2. And issue 1. Of course, the only reason I ended up buying this is because it had issue 1 in there. And if there's any spec on that, we'll see if that cleans and presses pretty good. It looks really nice. So we'll see. A small investment. Maybe down the road we get these things clean and pressed and see if there's any real value in it. Other than that, they're just going to stay in the PC. Oh, here's another copy of Walking Dead. This is Walking Dead. This is the Michonne special, and I think this is all part of a lot. These were anniversary and reprint issues of Walking Dead #1 and Walking Dead #1. I can't be honest with you. I can't tell you which versions of these they are, to be honest. But again, just a small Walking Dead lot. Throw them into the PC. I don't think anything here is going to get graded. And the same goes for this. This was just a small Spider-Man lot of some pretty good books. I only bought that. I bought this lot mostly for this issue right here. It's Amazing Spider-Man, Soul of the Hunter. It's again from the creative team that brought you Kraven's Last Hunt, and this right here I didn't like this cover at all, but it's a book I've tried to send in, and I thought it was going to be a little bit higher grade. I bought this whole lot because of this book. It's got some bang down here at the bottom. I'm not going to get this one graded either, but it had Spider-Man 2099 #2. It's one of I don't know who the cover is. Is that a Del cover? I don't know. Avengers 317 with Spider-Man on there. And then a reprint. Well, it's Marvel Tales. It's a reprint of one of the Marvel team-ups. This is a John Byrne cover with Man-Thing. And I think that's the first appearance. This is a reprint of the first appearance of Despair. Is that right? Correct me if I'm wrong on that, and because I'm not going to look it up. I'm going to let you guys let me know. Was that the character that made his debut in the original Marvel Tales, or not Marvel Tales, Marvel team-up issue that this reprints? And then I picked up a couple. This one's actually pretty nice. This is a pretty high-grade copy of She-Hulk, Savage She-Hulk #2. And then I picked up, this is She-Hulk #1 from Charles Soule. I don't remember what year this is. Was this around 2011? I think. I don't know. And then the last thing I picked up from those guys was a very, very nice copy of this right here. This is Miracle Man #1, the Alan Moore reinventation. Is that even a word? He reinvented and broke down, deconstructed, just like he did in Watchmen, modern comic books. He took the old British superhero, Marvel Man, and turned him into this. And this right here, of course, they changed the name to Miracle Man so they wouldn't get sued by Marvel. Interestingly enough, these days, Marvel owns Miracle Man. So, yeah, it'd be kind of interesting if they ever go back and they change the name back to Marvel Man. That would be interesting. I doubt that they'll do that, other than to protect a copyright. You may see a version of that just to hold on to the trademark. But this looked like a really good copy. I've cleaned and pressed a couple of these. I've got a 9.4 on my original copy. And I was kind of pretty much happy with that. It had some color rub in this area where it's black right up here at the top. And I don't know if it had a tick or not, but it definitely had some color rub right in there. And then a copy that I picked up from Third Eye Comics for $5. I ended up getting a 9.6 on that one, and that one's really nice. So I'm hoping that this one will be at least a 9.6, if not a 9.8. I'd love to get a 9.8 on that, but other than that, I thought that was a really good pickup. So that's it. I kind of banged through this. Not a lot of big keys from Key Collector 313 this time. I have been picking up key books from them before. This one I ended up buying a lot more lesser stuff, but still a couple keys in there that could, if they got cleaned and pressed and could get that 9.8, will be really good. I've since bought a couple other things from when they're auctioned this last week, and didn't buy a lot, but I got a couple nice books that should be coming in. We'll see that video probably sometime next week, or I may wait for after Baltimore Comic Con and do that video later next week and show you what I get. Of course, I need to get it from them too, so it should be coming in the mail either today or tomorrow. So anyway, that is it, guys. That is it. That is my comic book haul. These are all some of my favorite WhatNot sellers. I hope you guys take the time and check these guys out, and they could definitely use your support, and I hope you're using them already, actually. So that's it. I'm out of here. Guys, as I said, this is today day number 1 of Baltimore Comic Con. We're already way into this video. You know, I'm already on this floor at this point. I'm probably standing in line waiting for somebody's autograph at this point. But if you make it to the show, again, reach out, stop by and say hi, and let me know what kind of books you're looking for, because then I'll have it in my mind. Maybe I'll be able to find a book for you or something. So it'd be great to be able to talk to you guys. That's it. I'm out of here again. I think I already said that once. You guys take care, and stay tuned over the weekend for any of my Baltimore Comic Con shows. I would say hit the bell, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, because the shows over the weekend may pop up at any point. They're not going to just be at 10 o'clock the next morning. I may film that night, put everything together, and then put it together and upload it that night. So they could be airing at any point. So you just have to be notified that my show's coming on. So guys, that's it. Bye. I'll see you next time.